Hey everyone, today in this video I'm going to be showing you Charlie and Lucky. Charlie is this one that I have in the tub right now, and apparently he is a havanese, question mark. He's very big to be a havanese, but I'm not asking any questions. I have been grooming Charlie and Lucky now for a little over a year. I started in this shop in August of last year, so they have been coming to me for quite a while. They are on a 4-week schedule, so they come in pretty often. I always like to start the bath off with rinsing the face really good and making sure it's wet, and then washing with Nature's Specialties Lavaderm. The only reason I use this shampoo is because it just smells really good. I think I say that in every single one of my videos. It's usually my go-to shampoo for the face.
What is it?
And as you can hear in the background, Lucky is very jealous. Anytime I say anything to Charlie or he's not getting attention, he has to whine and cry about it. I just keep him in the kennel for right now. My coworker is going to be doing a dog later, and I just don't want him walking around. But usually if I have them both in here at the same time and I'm by myself, I'll just let Lucky hang out and walk around the floor while I'm doing Charlie. I believe what I have in my bathing system right now in that jug is Hypo. Sometimes I'll use Gentle Cleanse by Groom or Coconut. Just something to cut through the dirt for the first wash, just to make sure the shampoo on the second wash gets to the skin just a little bit easier. And it saves a little bit of shampoo. Just going to go ahead and speed up this process a little bit. It's the same for each dog. Pre-wash, rinse, shampoo, rinse, and then that's pretty much it. Yeah, I have the blueberry from Groom in there right now. And this is one of my favorite shampoos. I notice after even the first wash, rinsing, they come out super squeaky clean. That's when you know a dog's coat is as clean as it's going to get, as you can feel that squeak when you run your hand down the coat. So it's very nice. And then here, I think I've got him pretty clean, so I'm just going to rinse the rest of his body real good and make sure there is no shampoo left over. And then I'm going to towel dry him. And usually I do Charlie first because he has the most hair and he gets a haircut, and I let him sit and air dry in the kennel with a big blow dryer while I do Lucky, because Lucky sheds, and it's better to go ahead and blow dry Lucky instead of Charlie, because with Charlie I can just brush out the little curls he has, and he might be a little wet by the time I get to him, but it just saves me a lot of time. These two dogs I can get done. I think I've gotten them done in an hour and a half before, maybe 2 hours. That's pushing it. So letting Charlie just hang out in the kennel with the blow dryer, he seems to be much happier that way. And then I can focus on getting Lucky nice and de-shedded, and then I'll do Charlie's haircut after that. Yep, and right here you can just see that little blow dryer set up in the corner is just going to get him good and dry. And I'll do Lucky after this video. I actually did him right after I washed Charlie, but I decided to go ahead and continue the video here with finishing up Charlie's groom. And as you can see, Charlie is very overweight and he does not like to stand. So for certain parts of his groom, I use a belly band to make him stand up, just so I can get the parts that I need to get, like his paw pads and his sanitary. He gets very angry sometimes if you hurt him in any ways, not purposefully, but if you do something that he does not like. He's trying to fight me a little bit here, so I just go with it. And also, with him being so overweight, I know he doesn't like to stand for long periods of time, so we just go with the flow with him and just make him, because he's a good boy. He is really happy. Besides when you do his nails, you'll see in a little bit. But working with them two over the past year, they have gotten a lot better with the grooming process. At first, they were both super anxious. They both were trying to thrash and bite for their nails, but you'll see in the end of this video, working with them over the past year, they've gotten a lot more comfortable with me, so it's really not that much of a fight anymore. It's super funny. You'll see in just a second when I take this belly band off that he likes to do what I call the plop. And he just literally throws his entire body weight down on the table. I'm surprised he hasn't broken my table yet, because he literally just plops his booty down on the table with all his weight. And so here, instead of making him stand, he's just gonna try and sit down. So I'm using a 10 blade very, very carefully, because he does have some folds in his skin down under here that I can clip if I'm not too careful. So I just clean out the best I can with how he's sitting. As soon as he sees me going around to the other side of the table, he decides to plop. I'll pick him back up. As soon as yep, there he goes. He just plops it down. So we just take it slow with him. Don't get angry, because if you get angry, he'll get angry. And he'll let me clean him out just for a second here. So he does pretty good. But as soon as I'm done, I'll just let him sit back down, because he is a thick boy. This is the part of the groom where I decide to let him lay down. And he doesn't mind one bit. So I'll just scoot him as close to my edge of the table as I can and just push my body weight slowly onto him. And he seems to just relax pretty good into this. At some points you'll see his lip start to quiver a little bit. It never goes beyond that, because I work slow enough and I pay close enough attention to where I don't make him mad. It's usually his front legs he's the worst with. Sanitary doesn't bother him. Grooming his face, his body, and his back legs don't bother him. But it's grooming his front legs and doing his nails that make him mad. So he's got some icky stuff in the folds of his belly right here, so I'm going to just try and get that out ever so carefully. Just make sure not to irritate his skin.
Stay.
Every once in a while, he'll like pop his head up and sit up for a second just to kind of see what I'm doing. And then I'll just slowly be like, just lay down. It's easier that way. I just back brush a little bit, and right here, just make sure all that hair's up. And just to make the process even faster, because it doesn't really matter what he looks like to his owners, we just get it done and make him comfortable because he's so big. I have the 2 clip comb, which is 10 millimeters on this clipper back, and I just take it all the way down his body. You might see later that there are some lines, but I'm not really concerned about that. Just whatever gets the hair off the quickest and makes him the most comfortable. We're not looking for a fancy cut here. I'm just going to go down his body. He tries to get up, but he does pretty good at listening. And then he just gets the same guard all over his face and his ears. It doesn't always look the best. This just makes him the most comfortable and the cleanest. So right here you can see, I know it's sped up a little bit, but his lip kind of quivers when I'm grooming his front leg. And then while I'm up here, I'm going to go ahead and scissor it while he's laying down, just to make the process a little faster. And I'll look up at him every once in a while to make sure I'm not making him too angry. And he doesn't mind. He's gotten a lot better. Give him a little love, because he's being such a good boy. And this side, he's not always the most cooperative with when it comes to laying him down. I'm not sure why. It could be a joint issue, or he might just be tired of laying down. I'm not sure. But we kind of just go with whatever he's feeling and just get the hair off as quick as possible. Yep, and I'm going to try and flip him over. You see he kind of fights me for a second when I try and get him to lay all the way down. Just work around it. So I really need to get on that inner leg, but he kind of doesn't really want to help me, and I kind of give him a little pep talk here. Try and get him to work with me. And he's not going to do it. So I'm just going to forget about it and try and get the areas that I need to get as good as I can. No, you can't really see it, but I'll just try and pull his leg up, and he does have a mass on his leg right there. And I believe it is benign. It shouldn't be any problem to him. He doesn't seem to have any sensitivity with it. I just kind of clip it as close as possible. Just kind of blend in the hair around it. And since he was being stubborn, not wanting to lay on that side, I do have to make him stand up and try and gently get those hairs around his front leg, which he doesn't seem to mind. He does pretty good with that. I thought he was going to get mad at me, but he's wagging his tail a little bit. Which is a major improvement from how he used to be. But the more calm that I make the environment, he's a happier boy, and he doesn't seem to mind. And here I'm just going to scissor up around his paws the best I can. His nails are so long that his feet never look good. It's just trying to get it clean. I'm never happy with them because his nails stick out so far. And I always save the nails for last because that's just how he seems to do better with it.
sit. Charlie, sit. No?
Now just take my chunkers and thinners and curves just all around his face to try and clean up his eyes. And since he doesn't really like to stand up, he's very not wobbly on his feet, but he always adjusts his feet when he's sitting up like this. So I kind of have to wait for the still moments to be able to trim, because if I were to trim and he were to move his head in a certain way, I could cut him, especially around the eyes. So I just kind of wait for those moments of stillness, and then I take my chance and we trim him up. Still trying to get used to all the camera angles that work the best for me. I'm not by myself in this shop, so sometimes I can't always get the best angles with the tripod. But at least you can kind of see what's going on. And here he just decided he wanted to lay down, but I'm almost done with his face, so I'll just sit him back up just for a second, and so I can get the rest of his face trimmed evenly.
Let's see.
And here again, I'm just going to take my wall bravuras on the longest setting and just clean up his mouth. I try and do this with all of my dogs if they'll tolerate it, and usually if they don't, I still try and at least get them used to the buzz on the front of their lips so I can eventually get it clean. I don't like taking scissors around this area. I have clipped a dog's tongue before, and that is probably the worst area to clip because it bleeds and bleeds because the constant licking. It is very, very hard to stop it from bleeding if you nick a tongue. So since I'm about to do his nails and I'm about finished with his groom, I'm just going to clean up his tail a little bit and get him just to stand up with the belly band. A year ago, he would thrash and try and bite for his nails, especially the front ones. That's why I use a pretty big cone for him. I use the same one for his brother Lucky because they both were never really good for their nails, but after a year of working with them, I can pretty much do it without much trouble. It just depends on the mood of both of them and also my mood for the day. That's why we try and create a calm environment in this shop. So it's just, there's no distractions really, and there's not a lot of noise going on. Now, Lucky is the exception to that because he's whining, but Charlie doesn't really care if Lucky's whining or if Lucky's doing anything. Lucky's the one with the separation anxiety. So I'm just going to clip it on there and make sure he can still move freely and to where it's not too tight so he can breathe. And this cone's pretty big for him, and I usually wouldn't use one this big, but it seems to prevent him from being able to bite or do anything like that. And it just keeps me safe and keeps him safe so he's not trying to bite at the Dremel or anything. And then I always, for dogs that have issues with their nails, start at the back because it's just less invasive and it kind of gives me an idea of what kind of mood they're in for that day. He actually surprises me this day because there's little to no reaction out of him. He gives me a little bit of a reaction for his front paws, and that's also because he's so heavy, he can't hardly hold himself upright the whole time. And yeah, I could let him sit down, but I just want to have as much security to where he's not going to fall off the table because he's so big, so he doesn't hurt himself. And right here, he kind of tries to come back a little bit to show some discomfort, but it's not really anywhere near as bad as it used to be. He's come a long way. I was even surprised to look back on this video and see that there was really no reaction out of his face either. Usually he'll give a little lip curl to show me that, he's not happy. And there he was a little bit. But even then, he kind of just calms back down and lets me get it done. The quicker I am, the better he feels. And also with this Dremel bit that I'm using, it's very expensive. It's one of the diamond bits. And I've noticed, no, it doesn't take off length as well as the sandpaper ones, but you'll find that dogs react a lot better to this diamond bit because it smooths out the nail a lot better, and also it doesn't get as hot. So I've seen it in lots of dogs that I do that they'll pull a lot less because it's not as hot. And if you just make sure that they're in the most comfortable position possible, I know I'm kind of pulling his arm out to the side, which I probably shouldn't be, but I kind of just hang on to show him that he's not going to get away with pulling away from me. So the quicker I am, the less of a reaction I get from him. Also, one thing I want to mention, I am super disappointed in this Dremel that I'm using. I just got it. It's the Andis one you can get. I believe it's off of Ryan's Pet Supplies. And I don't know if it's because the attachment, like the bit that I'm using, because I have fully charged this all the way. And as soon as you turn it on and you start it, it's not as fast as I would like it to be. The one that I bought off of Amazon, it had just died. So this is why I got this new one. But when I use it, the charge doesn't last, and I'll find I have to turn up the speed to be able to Dremel fast enough. And then it just dies a lot sooner. And right here it dies, so I have to go back to the crappy one I was using with the sandpaper bit that I hate, just to get the rest of his nails done. The button on this one is what started to go out. So I bought a new one, expecting it to work, but it seems like I'm going to have to buy another one anyways. Oh, and here he was not happy at all. And it's probably because I'm using that sandpaper. You already see he had more of a reaction with that one than he did on the 3 other feet with that diamond bit. So that just kind of shows you. And he is all done. So I'll just take the cone off, I give him a couple of pets and tell him he's a good boy. And his dad is actually waiting outside. And he's just going to lay down real quick. I'm just going to get him a bandana, and then I get him off of the table, and then he is ready to go outside. In the series of events with the groom for both Charlie and Lucky, I washed Charlie, I put him in the dryer, or the kennel to dry, and then I washed and dried Lucky. But since I washed Charlie first in the video, I went ahead and put Charlie's groom right after that. But they were both done at this point, so they were both ready to go outside to their dad. I'm just going to show you a little close-up of him. He's not perfect, but he's a happy boy. And this is going to show you Lucky's bath. And I believe he is a lab mix. I'm not quite positive on his breed either, but they're both a little older. And he is the more anxious of the two, so I do have to help him up in the tub. Make sure he doesn't hurt himself. Just needs a little boost. I'm just going to speed through his bath because it's not very exciting. I just wanted to include it. And for him, I really should have used a D-Shed shampoo on him today, but I didn't. His skin sometimes is a little iffy, and our D-Shed shampoo is a bit drying. I know I could have used a conditioner after that to help, but I noticed he wasn't shedding too bad, and I brushed him out pretty well at the end. So it really, and also the blow dryer that we use blows a lot of that extra hair out. So I didn't think that I needed it today. And also I wanted him to smell like a blueberry. I think I have blueberry in there. I know this is a terrible angle, but I am still trying to get used to knowing what is the best way to film. And here I'm using the Beast blow dryer on him, and I think it literally takes me 15 to 20 minutes to dry his entire body. I've gotten in the habit of using a face mask when I do de-sheds. Now, he didn't really necessarily make me need it, but I just wanted to make sure that I'm not breathing in any unnecessary hair. I'm just going to brush him with my Paw Brothers de-shedding rake. I love this thing. You can see all the hair that's flying off of him. But it still wasn't much compared to some days that he comes in. But since they are on a 4-week schedule, it really cuts that shedding down. And with him, I'm also going to use the cone for his head. And like I said, they've been coming in so often for a year now with me. They pretty much trust me for their nails. They fight just a little bit because they're old and they're wobbly and they can't really stand up and hold themselves up very well. But even him, he gives me no fight like he used to. And if you just work fast and use that diamond bit, well, actually I'm using the sandpaper one now on him, and he's doing pretty good with it. If you just tell him they're a good boy, and you see his cute little face sitting up here, he's just chilling. But I use this just in case. If you can create a calm environment and the dogs learn to trust you, there's really nothing that you can't do when you gain that dog's trust. I've worked really hard in the past year with Charlie and Lucky, and they've come a long way. So here is Lucky's finished groom. Sorry I didn't get a better picture. I really appreciate every one of y'all watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll post another video in a few days.